What up, bro?
What up, bro? Hey, what up, Soldier? Let me do this.
How you doing, Mr. Chris?
Hey, how's it going? It's Chris.
It's going good, man. Well, I have both of my one of my childhood friends who's like a brother to me, and Mr. Roger Russell, as well as Tim Offit. I played college ball with him, and he's like a brother to me. Uncle Kemp. Kimball calls him his nephew as well.
Okay.
And I have both of them joining us in today because, like I said, these two know more about the business aspect of it. Because when I was asking you the questions, I was going through both of them. So I wanted them to be on the call as well because they are on as representation for Kimball as well.
Okay, beautiful. No, that's not a problem. In fact, the more equipped and the better prepared we are, obviously, the more successful we're going to be in the long run. So,
yes.
Yeah, and I'm hoping my partner out of Minnesota, I'm hoping he taps in. I'm gonna go ahead and shoot him a text to let him know we're on the call.
Is his name John?
Yeah, is he on?
Yeah, I just accepted him.
All right, beautiful, beautiful. And I don't know how to get the camera working. I don't do too many Zoom meetings, to be honest with you.
Man, that makes two of us, brother.
Yeah. Between Zooms and this and that. Oh, here we go. There we are. So, all right, and there's John. All right, so
how you doing, Mr. John?
I think his audio's connected. There you go.
How you doing, Mr. John?
Hey, how you doing, brother?
Good. My name is Otis Brown, and like I was telling Chris, I have Tim Offit at the top. Me and him played college ball together. He's my son's godfather. Have one of my childhood friends who's like a brother to me by the name of Roger Russell. He's also on. And like I was telling Mr. Chris, I had met with my uncle during the Super Bowl myself and Mr. Russell, and these guys are affiliated with our family, and they here to represent Kimball as well, along as with me.
Nice.
Okay.
Nice.
Beautiful. Yeah. Well, awesome. Well, I guess I'll kind of introduce the brand and give you guys an idea of who we are and what we're doing, and then kind of give you an idea of what our plan is moving forward. John and I are partners. We're master distributors for RX, the water brand. In fact, we're essentially in charge of multiple states or multiple regions. And so we're launching this distribution currently in Chicago, where we have about 86 locations, and it's growing. And we're gearing up to do a large campaign so that we can expand that to hopefully 300 to 400 locations over the course of the next 2 to 6 months. We're also developing distribution in the Louisville, Texas area, and then that'll expand to Indianapolis, Lexington, Louisville. We have a distribution being set up in Chattanooga, which will be more of a smaller outfit. I am currently working very heavily with distribution out of Orlando as well as Tampa area. And so just to kind of give you a background on myself, my name is Chris. I'm a developer of, I'm a director of development and operations for the Frezequendo Boxing Academy. That's this logo here. And so Frezequendo's a world champion. He's fought people like Evander Holyfield. He's fought David Tua and Chris Bird. He's the most decorated heavyweight Latino in boxing history. We help his organization helps underprivileged youth. So we have programs set up in alternative schools throughout Chicago. We're currently in 4 locations, and we're growing. And 4 years ago, how we got connected with RX. 4 years ago, Frez is from Puerto Rico, and the hurricane took place in Puerto Rico called Hurricane Maria. It essentially left the country devastated. And so Frez wanted to do something to help Puerto Rico. And so we kind of band together, and he just so happens to be friends with a singer named Daddy Yankee. So Daddy Yankee, that Friday after the hurricane took place, we got contact with Daddy Yankee. We connected with a trucking company who sent out a truck to a concert that Daddy Yankee was having in Chicago at the time. And from the moment the concert started till 6:30 in the morning, they collected 2 truckloads of water. Well, those efforts continued on for the next 10 weeks, and we ended up collecting over 60 truckloads. We began to work with Mark Anthony. We worked with the Boston Red Sox. They flew out some filtration systems that we acquired, over 1,000 filtration systems, to help further aid, because the problem was we're collecting all this water, and it evolved into an additional problem with pollution and all the plastic. So we kind of shifted our efforts, got some filtration systems, and continued to proceed. We began to work with Feeding America, as well as the Illinois Food Bank, and they were responsible for shipping all the products over to Aguadilla in Puerto Rico. And while we were there, Frez connects with a lot of other, a lot of his brothers, you know, within the boxing community, and like Tito Ortiz, and they just happened to come across a gentleman by the name of Wilfred Benitez. I don't know if anybody's familiar with Wilfred, but he is the youngest world champion in history. At the age 17, he became world champion, and he's known for fighting individuals like Roberto Duran, Floyd Mayweather Sr., and so on and so forth. Well, because of our efforts, let me backtrack. So while we were in Puerto Rico, we came across Wilfred. He was in a hospital that had no power. It was flooded out, and he was pretty much left there to die. He was in very bad shape. Obviously was in no position to assist himself, and so Luis Mateo, Frez Oquendo, and Tito Ortiz, or not Tito Ortiz, what's the third guy? Another well-known boxer, kind of band together. And then we brought Wilfred out to Chicago. He's currently residing here in Chicago. We got him assistance, so we have a whole community aiding and supporting his stay here in Chicago. And so because of those efforts, we received a humanitarian award from the WBC. Only 5 individuals have received this award, and so it was a very prestigious award. And that's what led us out to Cancun, where I met RX. And at that moment in time, I approached RX about them essentially sponsoring us, because we were looking for sponsors for some of our events that we put on. And they had said they'd love to work with us, but unfortunately they didn't have any distribution in the Midwest. And so kind of a light bulb went off, and that's when I called John, who is he's a #1 distributor for Mission Tortillas in the Midwest. Approached him with the concept, and then his response was, "I'll only do it if you're my partner."
Yep.
So here we are, distributing water. But the amazing thing is, and I think this is the beautiful part about it, is before we even knew what this product was, what the brand was, we had agreed. We kind of stepped out on the faith and agreed to tackle this opportunity of bringing distribution to the Midwest. And then when we got the product and we seen what we had, then that's when the light bulb went off, and we realized that we're essentially in a great position. So we took it upon ourselves to tackle this at a greater in greater proportion, not just handling the Midwest, but essentially introducing the product to other states as well. Right now, it's kind of an open market. The product really is superior to anything that's out there on the market. It's the only water that's deemed medical grade hydration. This water is actually used in cancer wards to give to cancer patients. They're backed by Urological Institute of Orange County. So that's 14. There's 14 of, 14 very well known and very respected doctors that put their name behind this label. So, and not to mention the fact that we're also backed by the WBC, which is the largest sports organization in the world, with a reach of over 150 countries. They supersede the NFL, the NBA, you name it. And so we have a great position. It's a great brand. It's a great opportunity. The people that are behind the brand are phenomenal individuals, God-fearing men who have a desire to help humanity. And essentially that's why I got involved. For me, it wasn't about the money. When I heard the story behind the brand and the reason why the brand was started, their desire to really want to help out humanity and do something different, I was pretty much sold at that point. And so what we're doing now initially is looking for people to partner up to help spread this distribution, which is the reason I approached Kimball to see if he was interested in maybe facilitating bringing distribution out to Texas. And so that's why I decided to, talk to you guys further and see if that's something that you guys would be interested in possibly helping us to facilitate. I believe it's an amazing opportunity. It's an amazing brand. Really, it's, like I mentioned, superior to anything that I've seen on the market. It really is. Since I've been working with the product myself, I've been drinking this water exclusively. I don't really drink much else. I've lost weight. I'm in much better health. I've gotten testimonies from several people on how this water has actually changed their lives. I have a neighbor across the street, elderly couple in their 70s and 80s. She went through cancer. He went through cancer. My wife would always keep in contact and in touch with them, and she would constantly hear back negative news, this going on, that going on. Well, since they've been on this water, believe it or not, my wife was like, "Man, I have not heard from Kathy in a while. I hope she's okay." Gives her a call, and she's like, "I've been feeling better than I have in years." And so we know what we have. And the beautiful part is we're at such a ground level that this is just, it's just a ridiculous opportunity. We know that we're going to have obstacles. We know our biggest competitors being Coke and Pepsi with their products. So we know there's going to be some challenges and some hurdles to kind of get over, but I think with the right team and the right people, I honestly believe that we could essentially make this one of the biggest water brands in the world, to be honest with you. There will be in the future further opportunity to expand outside the states. We've kind of scaled back on doing so because of COVID. So we're really kind of focusing on more of our domestic reach and building out that. So if that sounds like something you guys would be interested in getting involved, we'd love to work with you. Kimball is like a brother to me. Like the position that he's in, I've yet to really meet a more standout guy. And we really, built a pretty tight, connection. And so I love the idea of working with Kimball. And so anybody that he brings to the table, as far as I'm concerned, is family to me as well. So
yeah, I really appreciate that. Okay, before Tim and Russell ask questions, when I was with Kimball last week, because me and him don't know, and one of the questions we was asking one another was like to distribute it. Chris, I don't know like how to approach people to say, how do we get the water in the store? Like, yeah, because like how to do that. Like what steps do we need to take to go about doing that? And then another question I may have, and they probably gonna have some questions too, is this something like, do Kimball have to put in an investment into the water to distribute the water or what?
Yeah, so essentially what it would be is think of it as real estate, right? We have an opportunity to capture a footprint, a region that so when we begin distribution like in Texas, we'll have exclusivity. Nobody will be nobody either than our network will be able to distribute within all of Texas. So every bottle that comes through that line of distribution will be responsible for. And so what I'm looking for is as a master distributor, I'm kind of putting together a team of other distributors to help facilitate this move. And so yes, it would essentially be like starting a business. Um, I I think we can kind of think about what that looks like to the extent of what Kimball's involvement would be. Does he just want to be more the face of the brand over Texas and kind of put the pieces together, or does he? You know what I mean? Like I'm not exactly sure what that looks like at this point in time, but I know for us, we're looking for people that we can team up with who can facilitate distribution. Now, if that means Kimball kind of facilitates that by bringing in the right people and then putting together distribution, or if it just means that he kind of positions us to connect with the right people. I don't know what that looks like at this moment, but it is definitely an opportunity. But like any other business, obviously there will have to be some investment that goes into it. My partner and I we're already 6 figures into this thing, but we see the vision. We know what's going to come out of it, and so we're fast forward. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, you know.
I froze up. Swan.
And you know, my background is businesspreneur. I do so. So I kind of understand the whole aspect of distribution and what your guys' relationship in regards to RX is. And then I know right now where are your exclusive distribution states and cities currently? And what's your relationships with those people that you have opened those market? I think you said Orlando, and then uh, is it Kentucky or Louisville or?
Yeah, so I myself, I'm in Chicago, so I'm in the process of getting that distribution going. My
7-Eleven.
partner is in Minnesota,
Yeah.
and so he's responsible for getting that area kind of going. And then I'm right now training distributors to kind of take over the route that I'm building, and then as that grows, then we'll bring in other drivers, so on and so forth. So I'm kind of facilitating the build out here in Chicago. Now I have a distributor in Louisville, Kentucky, has got a warehouse. He's got 3 trucks. He's got employees. So as of this spring, we're going to begin to set up accounts and build out distribution out in Louisville, which will expand to Indianapolis and Lexington. And
Can I
then
go
I have, sure.
real quick? In Chicago, we're set up at 7-Elevens. So we have about 80 locations. And in Minnesota, I started out with the BP gas stations. I'm not sure if you have them out where you guys are at.
Yeah.
BP. Yeah. So in Minnesota, I got BPs lined up, and then I got a couple Mexican grocery stores. And so that's where we have right now product in. And so, you know, it's just build branding at this point, you know, from ground level. And it's been very, very, very good. So at my BP gas stations, you know, when I first brought it in, you know, everybody drinks Essentia, everybody drinks Fiji, everybody, you know, like, oh, those are the big names, right? Once everybody got to try the RX, they started cutting back purchasing Dasani and other water because we started outselling them. And so now we have refrigerators that are literally like, you know, 3 or 4 full facings of just RX, and literally like maybe 2 facings of the essential water. So, you know, the owners started noticing that. So they just started cutting back on those bigger, like Dasani and all those other waters. Now, being a small company, you know, here we are with this water, you know, it might not seem like a lot, but when you start putting little dents like that into corporations like that, they notice that real quick, especially when you got, you know, 10, 15 locations that all suddenly used to order just that, and now they're just ordering half of that amount. And then it just starts shrinking down from there, where it's like they don't want it anymore, you know,
Right.
sitting on the shelf. And so, you know, with 7-Elevens in Chicago, you know, those locations are convenience stores. I don't know, where you guys at in Texas?
In Texas, and they bringing 7-Elevens back now.
So yeah,
Yeah.
so okay, so that was another thing I was gonna say. I think yeah, in Texas, 7-Elevens are gonna be coming back. Same thing here in Minnesota. In the next year, I think they're just gonna phase out Speedways out here. It's a gas station, and so they bought Speedway, and they're gonna convert them over to back to 7-Elevens here. So, you know, that's another good number of stores that we will have, you know, once the 7-Elevens open up.
And if I can interject, we're actually working with 7-Eleven corporate. So
Yeah.
we can go into any 7-Eleven location anywhere in America and set up product. So
Got it.
that's an open door for us. It costs us a lot of time and a lot of money to open that door, but that's greatly to our advantage, because that already off the bat we have a market that we can cater to. We also, John and I, I'm really more of a brand builder. I'm an artist. I've been an entrepreneur since I was about 18, 19 years old. I've always had an understanding for business, and for building a brand, building a name. As an artist, I've known that it wasn't so much about selling my work as much it was selling myself. So I take a lot of those concepts and theories that's made me very successful as an artist, and I've applied it to this business model. And what it's done is it's really kind of built a name for ourselves. If you look, RX Midwest, which is our distribution, we're making a lot of noise. And one of the things that I've done in brand building is I have kind of a sponsorship program, much like what they're already currently doing. But I've approached a completely different markets, where we're working with the WBC, and we have several fighters that we work with. I've introduced it to the flag football community, as well as the female tackle football community. And what that's done is it's just opened up the doors for at least 250,000 people to 500,000 people in exposure. And now we're developing a whole new market, and that market spills over to states like Texas, states like Florida, Nashville, because a lot of these players playing these tournaments are in those locations. We're also, I'm sorry, in case I get cut off. My headset's in, and they're dying on me. So we began to vend and sponsor these tournaments, which take place. They got tournaments in Texas and Florida, Nashville, South Carolina, you name it. They're all over the country. And because of my sponsors, they opened the door for me to be able to start vending at these events. And now we're pretty much going to become the official water for flag football, the flag football community. We're working with all the major directors, and just in a span of like one weekend, we were able to get the water into the hands of close to 3,000 or 4,000 people. So we're making great strides to help build the brand, much like we would do in Texas. If we were to partner with you guys. There's a huge flag football community in Texas. I already have some sponsors in Dallas that are already bringing interest to the brand, and right now a lot of people are buying off Amazon, which is great that we're selling and moving product, but it's bad for us because we're not the ones moving it, and secondly, Amazon takes most of the profit. So we want to essentially position ourselves to be able to facilitate those orders through us and not through Amazon or any other means. So that's kind of our goal. And so by working with someone strategically in Texas that could help facilitate the distribution, whether that be cash and carry, getting trucks, setting up accounts, and then having people run those accounts, or if it means teaming up with a already existing distribution company and seeing what that looks like. That's kind of where we're at and what we're looking for. Now, the relationships that I have with other individuals, for example, like our Orlando and our Tampa location, these are already existing distributors that will be cash and carry. So they will be acquiring pallets of water and then distributing it. All right. But they acquire the water from us and then they distribute it. But we work with them hand in hand to set up accounts. So I'm right now in the next 2 to 6 months, I will have a sales rep who essentially could come out to Texas to help develop accounts. So it's not like even if you guys take on the aspect of distributing, we're leaving you hanging, because we'll actually be working directly with you guys to help build out distribution. So I don't know if that's along the lines of what you guys are thinking.
That well, that answered my question in regards to the relationship and how it was structured in regards to opening up new markets, because that gives us an idea of what expenses that needs to be occurred, whether it's warehousing, truck, or a partnership with another distributor for that. So the other question I had was co-op. Does RX, what is it, RX water, or is it?
Yes, it's RX water.
Okay.
Correct.
So does RX Water Corporate, basically your relationship with them, do they allow giving you marketing dollars for your branding and marketing of the product?
Yes and no. They're currently doing things to help build the brand, and they're taking strides to help put the brand out there. We've kind of taken it upon ourselves to spearhead this, only because I want to, my idea is to grow this and take over these regions. Now, I know that as volume picks up, I know that we are in a position where I can go to them and say, hey, look, there's a billboard. We think this would be a great, so yeah, they will assist us in helping to further market. But it's something that I have to approach them and they got to approve it.
Right.
And, or I may take it upon myself to say, okay, I'm going to do this and kind of go from there. So that's kind of a gray area in a sense. But it's definitely one that we feel comfortable tackling if need be. And I know that we do have the support of them. So it's something that I would imagine can be discussed in greater detail, if that answers your question.
Yeah. Sounds good.
Just I've been listening and writing down questions. I got several questions, and I guess I can go back over them if I need to. But number one, how long has the water been in existence? Number two, what are you looking for from us? And number three, what is your end game?
Okay. So the water was, I believe, introduced to the market in either 2016, 2017. Yeah. And so they've been around for about 4 or 5. For from you guys is partnering up with somebody to help facilitate the distribution of this brand and looking in. So that would mean the whole scope of Texas. It could be Houston, Dallas, Austin, whatever. Wherever there's a market and a way to help build and spread that brand, that's where we would hope to lean on you guys to help kind of facilitate that. Now we're in a position to help facilitate that. I'm all over the country, so I'm not limited to any one location. In fact, I'll be spending a good 4 months in Florida over the course of the next 6 to 8 months. I was in Florida since December, helping to grow the brand out there. And I have a feeling that Florida is probably going to be one of our best selling states. One, because it's super hot. Two, a lot of phenomenal athletes. That's another thing. This water is definitely a great water for athletes. And that is essentially one of the reasons why I approached Kimball, because of his reach and his connections with the athletic world, and because we have a good relationship. I feel like it's important that when you build partnerships, that you build partnerships, sound partnerships, people with people you can trust and will protect the brand. And so that's kind of why I approached Kimball. Be it that he's in Texas, we're open to distribution in other locations if that makes sense. Like right now, Atlanta is completely wide open. Atlanta's Georgia, and Atlanta is a location we're hoping to tackle somewhere in the future. Another state that I have a feeling might be possibly a good connect would be New Orleans and Louisiana. So those are just some of the things that we're doing. We're starting distribution in certain areas, so we already have connections with individuals in certain states. Now, the reason, just to kind of give you an idea, John being from Minnesota, me being from Chicago, ever since I was a little kid, I've been traveling back and forth to Florida. I spend probably more time in Florida than I do any other state collectively. And so I travel that vein from Chicago to Florida. And in that vein, I pass through Indianapolis, Atlanta, Nashville, Chattanooga, Louisville, so on and so forth. And so for me, it just made sense to bring distribution all the way down to Florida. Right now, they're in the process of putting together a bottling plant in, I believe, North Carolina. So we're hopefully looking to have a warehouse in Nashville or somewhere centrally located that will feed everywhere from Texas to Minnesota to Florida and so on and so forth. So that's kind of where we're at. And so there's a lot of opportunity that stretches outside of Texas. We're not touching anything on the East Coast. That's already really accounted for. That's where the brand started, was in California and the East Coast. So California, Nevada, all of that is another team is responsible for distribution in those areas. The East Coast, Jersey, New York, so on and so forth. Another master distributors out there responsible for that. And so we're trying to capture this middle portion of the country. The company is growing pretty rapidly. They've been approached by many people. In fact, who was it? One of the, I think it was one of the Boston Celtics players had a brother who was interested in distribution, and he was turned down because we were essentially trying to gain distribution in the region that he was in. So there's definitely a loyalty that we have with the ownership. And so we have a great relationship, which is great for all of us. In fact, if you guys do move forward with us, I will set up a meeting to introduce you guys to the owners and some of our partners on that end, so that way we can build that cohesive relationship. So that's kind of where we're at. And I don't know if you guys had any other further questions or.
And I guess you start with the end in mind. What's your end game?
Well, the end game is to develop distribution in states all the way down to Texas. So we're hoping to capture
Midwest.
maybe like
and
12 to 14, the Midwest and then to the South.
to the south.
So, and we have some great plans on doing certain things, like with COVID taking place, they've taken water fountains out of schools.
Yep.
And we have a mini bottle. It's about the size of like those little milk containers that they have in schools. And
8
we're
ounce.
hoping that 8-ounce bottles. And so we're hoping to try to get these into schools. We're also hoping to set up some sort of like a kind of an app with an auto ship or a membership, so they can go right on the app, place an order for continued distribution to their house, like whether it be two cases a month or 4 cases a month. And that will essentially be a slightly different spin on distributing like to stores. But that also opens up opportunities for, individuals to deliver to multiple locations, and the profit margins are much better in that area. So we're hoping to kind of develop this app where they'll be able to go right on the app. They put in their zip code. Let's say they live in Pennsylvania. They pop in the Pennsylvania app and place their order. If there's no distribution in that area, it'll go directly to the link for Amazon Prime and give them that option to order that route. But if there is the distribution available, then it will redirect that order to whatever the master distributor is in that region. So like if it comes to Texas, we will ultimately get that order and then forward that order to whoever is the distributor in Texas.
Got it.
So that's something that we're in the process of putting together. It's a big undertaking when you get into e-commerce, these apps. They're easily hackable. So they're in the process of trying to develop that. That'll be something that comes through corporate, but I'm involved, so I'm hoping to help kind of steer them in that direction so that we can take advantage. And because Amazon is a great means in which to get the brand out there, it's a perfect opportunity for us to help grow. But that's not the end game. The end game is to handle all our own distribution, especially when it comes to the regions that we're responsible for. We want to be able to be in a position to help facilitate that. But we understand that it's going to take partnerships, and individuals like yourself to step in and make that a possibility. So, yeah.
Hey, Chris, I don't mean to cut you off, man, but I only got about a minute with this Zoom call, and it's going to cut everybody off. But I really appreciate your time, and we'll get the information to Kimball. I'm pretty sure this recorded, and I can let him look at it as well. And I know he's going to get back in touch with you because he really want to pursue this, but he didn't know the questions to ask. I didn't know the question to ask. That's why I had my guys to come on.
Yeah. One more thing too, real quick before
hurry up.
Yep. Yeah. So I just wanted to do due diligence on the numbers because we never talked about the numbers. So if you could provide something to Otis and he can distribute it to us, that would be great to show the possibility and numbers as growth in other distribution channels, so we can actually compare and do our due diligence on the numbers side.
Okay. Yeah, we can do something like that. And those are subject to change because the obviously, the larger we scale up, the better the numbers are for us, and the more that we can, so that will be those numbers may not be exact, and obviously those may change, and I would imagine for the better. But I can definitely give you guys some ballpark figures, so then that way we can kind of get an idea of what direction we'll go in.
Okay, sounds good.
Yeah.
Well, thanks, Chris. Nice meeting you too, John, man. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for your
I'll
time.
definitely be hearing from us soon.
Okay.
Hey,
All right,
Chris,
you.
I'm a Chicago Bear fan too, man.
Yeah, go Bears.
Go Chicago.
Sure.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
All right, man. Y'all have a good one.
Thank you, fellas.
All right, you guys stay blessed.
All right, see you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.